pull the microphone. Pull the microphone a little closer there.
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
I see the Democratic Party. I got internal struggle. The struggles for the Democratic Party ain't limited to ours back in the day when we had Marilyn Stapleton and Jimmy O'Brien. All that going on. Yeah. What going on now is mind-boggling.
It is. But you know, you and I can look at it and understand what's happening. That there are. I mean, I was on CNN last week, and they were like, "Oh, the caucus, the Democratic caucus, is divided. You've got 17 members, 19 members that have come out against the president." I was like, 19 out of 220? That's not really a lot. The problem is that it's a lot of noise.
Yes.
Because the media continues to elevate that they're looking for a story. But additionally, they are going to, what will happen is that their power brokers, you know, for the most part, the people that are concerned are the donor class, individuals that are sending money, as well as individuals that are going to, individuals who are in these swing districts that are concerned about their own viability. And we'll see what happens, you know, from there. But we're getting too close to the convention to do anything. And there's a large portion of members, and particularly the base, that say that we want to keep Biden. The numbers have not changed that much.
When you look at the polling numbers, you know, I had to study, I had to follow the data.
Yeah.
I mean, when a Marist poll coming out and literally got him a national number, of course, in the races, the presidential races, the electoral college state-based race. But when the national number got a 50 to 48, even if it was 50 Trump, 48 Biden, in this case, it was 50 Biden, 48 Trump.
Right.
That kind of undermines a lot of the arguments that those who want him out. Now, there's also a dynamic, you know, that Doug School, Rocky, and other members of Table Talk, that we touch on money.
Right.
And you got donors who are threatening. So that's a balancing act there as well.
That's a balancing act, right?
So how do you go about dealing with that?
Well, the problem is that they can complain, but at the end of the day, who are you going to give your money to? Because you want to be involved, and you're putting in money in because you don't want the other person. So you're going to have to. If we get past the convention and it's Biden, they're going to have to put their money there.
Now, nobody's denying that the debate performance of the president
was horrific,
unacceptable.
Right.
For an incumbent, clearly, you know.
But every incumbent has a terrible first debate.
I mean, for whatever reason, the trend for like the last 30 years, maybe 40 years, when you go back to Reagan in '84, right?
I mean, think about Obama was terrible,
and
with Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney, we were actually talking about that on the show. The distinguished professor from American University said this knee-jerk reaction about debates. Mitt Romney, when they did the first poll after the Romney-Obama debate, Romney won 72 to 20, a greater margin than the 67 to 33, whatever this one was, right? But it still doesn't take away from the fact that performance.
But I think, you know, and I understand. I mean, I talk to other members all the time, and their concern is not just that the debate was horrific, but what the debate exposed about him. Physically. And they were concerned about, well, what if this happens again?
But there's also concern was that the bar was low for him that night because his opponent didn't have a good debate.
Right.
You know, they were talking about, you know, his ability to stretch the truth. We're going to use the L word, right? We're not NPR, right?
Right.
So because the bar was low and he still didn't even reach that bar, that's why. Right. So those concerns are legitimate in my concern.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
But the thing was, you know, I know that we had Congressional Black Caucus had war room meetings, right, where we meet late at night in an undisclosed location to have discussion about it.
Let me stop you right there because we're going to break. I don't want to break that down and then got to interrupt you. So we'll take a break. We'll pick that back up. We got Delegate Stacey Plaskett in the House running unopposed in the primary. So it is what it is. We'll be back right after this. So you were saying the
Congressional Black Caucus has had some discussions about this. And I think our concern was in the campaign itself, the campaign structure. how did they prepare the president? They over-prepared him with too much statistics and didn't let him be himself. And, if you saw immediately after the debate, him at different locations.
I think he went to a rally the next day. And
he went to a rally, then he went to North Carolina.
He was like two different people?
It was two different people. Joe Biden likes people. He likes to be around people. His best performances are in town halls, are in crowds, rally crowds.
Scripted or unscripted? In your opinion?
In my opinion, unscripted, he's better.
Okay.
Unscripted, he's better. The man has a stutter that he's had his entire life that he's tried to overcome. And when he gets to reading material, that then brings the stutter back. That brings him, and I believe maybe he even has some dyslexia or something with when he's looking at things and how he's reading them. But when you talk to him, I was on Air Force One with him last month, and the amount of specificity that he gave in terms of policy and numbers with his different things that he's doing, that he has done, it's a completely different person.
Let me take off.
Now, does he walk in a very mechanical way? Yeah, because he's slower than he was, and he's careful with his steps. He talks about having broken a foot and it didn't heal right, and he's older, so he walks in that kind of way.
Well, on that note, one of the sentiments nationally, with respect to the two main candidates, is their age.
Right.
And, some people want to believe that one is maybe 10 years or 20 years older than the other, when in reality, there's only a 3-year difference, right? The sentiment is that as it reflects on America, why is it at this time in America's existence, the two main candidates for president are legitimate retirees?
Right.
What is it? Is it just happenstance, or because one of the shots that folks are taking against the Democratic Party right now is that are you clamoring to get Biden out like as if you didn't know a year ago or 2 years ago that he had physical issues with his age. Yeah. That's number one. Yeah. And then number two, taking a legitimate shot at the president. He himself said that he was going to be a transitional president.
Right.
And now that's not the case. We saw that happen with Turnbull down here. What Turnbull said, I was only going to do it one time, and then you taste the power that comes with the gig. You're human. You change your mind.
Sure. You also recognize that there are things that you start that you want to finish. There are things that you're working on that you recognize that you are going to be doing. I told my team and I told my husband 3 terms. You got me for 3 terms, and then I'm going to move on to something else. I'm in my 5th term now. I've never held a job this long, but there are always things that you're working on. And I don't know what it means about us having these older individuals in these positions. And I know that there's a cadre of other individuals right behind them that are way younger, lots of energy.
And older. Chuck Grassley is close to 90.
No. But I'm talking about candidates.
Yeah, but I'm just speaking from a general standpoint. Yeah. I don't want to make it seem like we're targeting 80-year-olds.
No.
We had a Senator Strom Thurmond who was there till almost 100.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
and listen, Maxine Waters is the same age.
There we go.
Nancy Pelosi, same age.
Older.
Steny Hoyer. Yeah. Jim Clyburn, same age. But one of the things that has been a benefit to us with Biden's age is the number of years that he has been in relationship in the Senate and been in relationship on his foreign affairs ability. And that's been the ability to bring us closer to NATO and to create those kind of relations that forge what became necessary after the Ukraine invasion that nobody thought we would be able to do. But also the kinds of legislation that were passed because he knew how to work the Senate. He knew how to work Congress in a way that other presidents have not.
I mean, we ain't really in the business of promoting, because that's a campaign type of thing.
Right.
But you really can't deny from a legislative standpoint.
From a legislative standpoint, it's been phenomenal.
And this is across the board, right? You hear it on Fox and all. That's all.
Right.
So that's
right.
what
Trump had Infrastructure Week for a couple of years, and Biden got it done. Biden's legislative agenda and what he's been accomplished far surpasses Barack Obama's 8 years.
I mean, yo.
And what he's been able to do in 3.
Yeah.
Money to $16 billion to HBCUs. Student debt relief of several $billion of student debt relief. Additional gun legislation that hasn't passed in many years. The type of bringing jobs back with the CHIPS Act. The bipartisan infrastructure bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, clean energy, the Inflation Reduction Act for climate change. So all of those things were done in 3 years. And I have to believe it's because of the amount of relationships that he's been able and knowing how to work the system the way he did.
So let me ask this question, and then we move on from the presidential runnings right now. This going on to the end. This is a Donnybrook.
Let me tell you,
this one
every week I was like, I've been like, okay, it's done. We gotta be done with this. And then you see it again. I was in one of the Signal chats this morning, talking to Hakeem Jeffries, showing him an article that was talking about him. I was like, what? This has got to stop now. We've got to make a decision.
Is there a race component where the Democratic Party is concerned right now?
Oh, come on.
I'm just trying to be candid here for my audience. I don't want to think I just throwing softballs at you here. I got to throw some sliders and some curveballs and some forkballs as well.
Of course, when I had we had a very frank discussion about who would be the next candidate, right? And mechanically under the Federal Election Commission regulations and law, that money that is to the Biden-Harris campaign can't go to any other candidate.
So it's either Biden or Harris. This thing about somebody else, like Gavin Newsom and all that stuff, can't happen.
It can happen. Okay. They would have to raise all of that money again. That money's been dedicated to infrastructure, to offices around the country, to salaries, to just even software. All of those things that are in place have to be spent with the Biden-Harris money. So if you want to keep the money, you have to have Harris. And then the question becomes, people, I was talking to a senior member of Congress, a white woman, and she's like, well, I think we'll support Harris. And I was like, I don't believe you. And she was like, why would you say that? I was like, I could potentially believe, but Black people do not trust, particularly white women, in this. Because you guys wouldn't even support your own candidate. And we don't believe that you will let the first female president be a Black woman.
So the answer is yes.
And then
as it relates to the race,
the issue of race.
There's a big race issue.
And I was like, the same people who are saying Biden needs to leave now are the same individuals. I'm not talking about the sentiment, but I can tell you the individuals who were also 6 months ago saying Harris needs to leave because she's a drag on the ticket.
You know what I don't like about the political arena? And that's why people had heard me, because I've been in the arena, Democrat, blah, 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 and I heard me. I changed and I want to go independent. And here's the reason why.
Oh,
one of the,
we need voices.
Sorry, but what I don't like is the hypocrisy, right? In particular, and I think the Kamala Harris situation is a classic example of the hypocrisy that exists in politics. The same night of the debate, Biden has a poor debate. Anderson Cooper interviews Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, excuse me, I don't want to be disrespectful, Vice President Harris, right after she does an awesome interview. And I got to listen to John King say, I was just listening to that interview. It would be in the Democratic Party's best interest to use her more. No, I've been listening for the last 3.5 years. The same people saying that Kamala Harris hasn't done this as vice president. Right. What she's done has hurt, all that stuff. Now, instantaneously, she's supposed to be embraced. Right. And that's what turns off folks in the middle. Right. That's why the independents are now starting to be the biggest party, unofficially. And the Republicans and the Democratic Party numbers are shrinking. Well, people don't like that type of business.
That happens here in the Virgin Islands as well.
It happened here 50 years ago with the ICM party. That's a perfect example.
Yeah, but even the no party individuals, as young people,
that's the second biggest party after the Democratic Party.
As young people are registering here in the Virgin Islands.
Unaffiliated.
They're registering as unaffiliated. But how do you win those? But also, many people have said repeatedly that the base wants to keep the ticket. it is individuals who either have their own issues with Biden, individuals who are worried about the donor class and their money, and others who, are scaredy cats. I mean, I talked to another member. They're like, "Oh my God, this is going to be so hard." I was like, "Life is hard.
You know something?
Life is hard."
I party. Right? Yeah,
you right in there.
I didn't know. So I could say, look, I got National Democratic Party, right? Our party really showing now. I'm glad what happened to President Biden on the debate happened, because it exposed a lot of things, that sentiments that have been there for the longest.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing who we want in a foxhole with us when the going gets rough, and who we don't want, because people scattering left and right. This is embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? Right. But it is what it is. And I was like,
and that's, the campaign was like, well, this was, I think, over the 4th of July, talking with me about doing surrogate work or whatever. And they were like, and what are your thoughts about this? I was like, well, it's a discussion that was going on undercover in the House very quietly all along about his age, about whatever. So now we have it. Let's have the discussion.
And if they felt this way all along, what took them so long to come up with how they feel?
And the other thing is, now you know who's your ride or die and who's not. Now you know.
Right a day. The locks is being referenced here today and Analyze This on our Arts Thursday and all that good stuff.